Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, how are you? It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. It's Friday, guys, and that's what it means. Time for the show. It is July 11th, 2025. Welcome. It is a wonderful Friday, and we got a lot to share with you here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Hey, if you're thirsty or hungry, feel free to go get something and make yourself comfortable. I got my RO water here, so I'm all set, and hopefully you guys will be set too. So definitely check that out. All right, guys. Check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my, of course, amazing, inspiring creations, which I know you guys are not going to want to miss. And you can do that 24 hours a day, incidentally, after the show is over, that is. All right, so our topic for this week, ladies and gentlemen, is Tech's wildest week, yet layoffs leak and AI Takeover Series 4 and show number 28. So a big welcome to everyone. If you are here, basically your very first time, I would definitely like to take this opportunity to, well, I'd like to welcome you to the show. If you're coming back to the show, well, I'd like to welcome you back. It's always great to have people that have been with us before. So without any further ado, why don't we kick the show off, all right? So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you again formally to another info-packed episode of the J Moore Tech Talk Show with me, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, video producer, podcast coach, host, graduate student, and a lot more, engineer. And it is great to be with you. And I'm also the guy who makes tech fun, informative, and actionable. Whether you're a tech geek, just a curious mind, or just trying to keep up with, well, the latest buzz in the digital world, which we all know that can be a little bit hard for some people to do if you're not in the industry. This episode is packed with stuff to blow your mind and spark your great conversations that you have with people. So let's get into the very first one, which is the TikTok deal. Yes, the TikTok deal talks resume, and Trump restarts the talks with China. The approval yet is still uncertain. The question is TikTok launching a new app for the U.S.? And the answer to that is yes. They're preparing to launch a new app for the U.S. users, and it's expected to operate on a separate algorithm and a data system from its global app. Laying the groundwork for potential sale orchestrated by the U.S. President Donald Trump. And this, according to many people that have been familiar with this matter. The question is, what's going to happen? According to different people, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is reportedly building a new app that could replace the video app in the United States. And the information has reported that the negotiations to sell TikTok are entering the final stretch. Well, we don't have anything in writing, but they're saying that this is true. And they're saying that we're going to have an app by September sometime. And if you don't switch over to the new app, I think it's March of 2026, well, you're not going to be able to use the previous app in the United States. So that's what's going on there. I know everybody's just been kind of up wondering, like, what the heck is going on? What are they doing? And like I said, President Trump has announced that the U.S. is beginning the talks and that it's a lot more than that, and that the deal is pretty much in place. But again, they're working on China's approval, and this is coming after several extended deadlines for ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. assets, and as earlier efforts to spin off TikTok's U.S. operations stalled over tensions with, we know, China. So we're just going to have to see what's going on there, and we will keep you in the loop, all right? Louis Vuitton had experienced recently a data leak in the Korea branch, and it was hit by a cyber attack, and a lot of contact was exposed. So the Louis Vuitton Korea data leak had a lot of cyber, let's say, data that was breached. And Louis Vuitton Korea announced that the system breach happened in June. It led to a leak of some customer data, including contact details, but they claim not financial information. And the company discovered the unauthorized access just recently and notified authorities and has taken steps to contain the breach and strengthen security as other LVMH brands in South Korea face similar data investigations. My question is, why did it take so long, guys, for this to happen? Like, what was the deal? Um, you know, uh, I think this is really crazy, like, what's been happening. But this is, when I say crazy, this is absolutely insane, what's been going on. So we'll definitely keep you in the loop with this. But more companies are going to have problems, um, whether it's in the US or China or around, because a lot of people are being complacent about their security and they think that they're all that. And I'm always here to tell you that it's not a question of if you're going to get attacked, but when, if you're not properly protected. So, again, these are some very interesting things that are, going on, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out. A lot of people have these egos, and they think that their network is the best. And I have to tell you, I think we have a great network, but I never will say that we never have to test or that we don't have to, do some penetration testing and make sure that people can't get in our network because there's vulnerabilities, right? This happens every single place. And so you've got to be aware of this. It's the people that don't want to be aware of it that are going to have the most problem. And Microsoft, this is a real ouch here, cuts 9,000 jobs. That's layoffs that hit Xbox and the sales. And they're focusing their shifts to AI and cloud because of this. But is that really fair for all the people? Well, Microsoft's biggest layoff in years hitting the Xbox. Microsoft cutting, like I said, 9,000 jobs. Its largest layoff in over 2 years, impacting Xbox sales and other divisions worldwide as part of the efforts to streamline management and focus on AI and cloud growth following several rounds of layoffs earlier this year amid heavy investments in AI infrastructure. And I think, they've got to get a little bit leaner because if they don't, well, it's going to be a problem. And, Microsoft's not one of these companies that say, hey, we're planning to lay people off. They just do whatever they have to do, which I got to tell you, that's not the greatest thing. And if you've been wondering what's happened, well, Skype is defunct. It is no more. Skype has shut down. It's retired as of May 5th, 2025. We knew it was coming. And users are switching to other platforms, Zoom, Teams, and other things. But, the reason that they did this, I think this is the big thing. Why, everybody asks me this question every day, John, why? And this is a big, why did Microsoft kill Skype? Why? It wasn't a bad platform. They retired the consumer version of Skype in favor of Microsoft Teams to streamline its communication and really to save costs. I think that was the big reason. So Microsoft officially shut down Skype, as I said, on May 5th, pushing millions of users to find alternatives like Microsoft Teams, Google Voice, Viber, Zoom, and various other voice over IP services, while the Skype numbers could be ported to other providers up until June 31st. And so this has been a little bit challenging for some people that were relying on US-based numbers, and they faced challenges, but numerous options had existed for call messaging and still do, and number parking to ease the transition. But, they mentioned this was happening, and then, you can't just wait to the last minute to do something, right? That's what everybody does. Like, oh my gosh, like what happened to Teams? So what they did is they were warning you, and then when it was getting to the end, they pretty much were telling you how to click here to go over to Teams. And if you did it afterwards, well, then the account would just convert over to Teams. They still have the data, but, it just wasn't going to launch Teams anymore. So, that's an interesting thing of what happened there. We're just going to have to see what happens, but they're putting all their money into teams. That's what they're doing. And catch this, ladies and gentlemen, I talk a lot about artificial intelligence, don't I? But I don't think I've ever talked about artificial intelligence, I don't recall, being in a sewer. You're like, what, John? Yeah, AI stops sewer floods. The United Kingdom uses smart sensors to reduce flooding by up to 40%, they claim. So their whole goal is AI sewers will stop floods before they happen. AI-powered sensors in southern waters sewer systems have helped prevent flooding in West Sussex by detecting blockages like fatbergs early, allowing prompt action before water from the waste spills into homes and gardens. And this AI technology monitors sewer flow patterns, distinguishing normal fluctuations from problems, and has reduced internal flooding by 40% and external flooding by 15%, marking a significant advancement in proactive flood management. Now, the question everyone's asking is, so how do the AI, sewer systems work? So basically, they are trained to detect certain abnormalities in case pipe features and defects and flows and stuff like that, and they can respond. Again, it's intelligence in sewer systems is not new. They started this around 2023, but it wasn't really catching any traction back then. And so, you have different sensors. They can use cameras in the pipes, and they can detect things like flow. They can detect quality of water. They can do a lot of different things. But, the cost of this is the real thing, does, the cost of an AI sewer system make it worth it? Well, that's a good question. The return on investment on an intelligence system, it's not cheap. All right, and so many people are wondering, because we've had about AI to detect sewer pipe defects and things like that, but we're talking about just things like the flow and how to open certain valves or gates based on how much is flowing or not flowing. And if they detect something that is getting too much, then they can shut things down, right? So that they don't get flooding. It works very similar to the way a dam works, but a lot more integrated and a lot more intense, because the situations have to happen very robustly, because if they don't, it could cause problems, and then they could have even more of a flood damage on their hand. So we'll definitely keep you in the loop about what's going on with that. But AI sewer systems, AI sewer flood detection systems, we're going to see a lot more of this. They're doing things now like sewer mapping. They can inspect 10,000 feet of sewer per hour with industry's different AI solutions now. And so we're doing it for the testing, but now we're doing it for things like flood warning systems and flood redirection systems. So again, this is more the flood prevention system. And so the fact that this technology is learning. So basically what they're doing is they're using AI to reduce flooding and also limit river pollution. And there have been lots of collaborative projects to, make this thing go where it needs to go. But I think a lot of people don't realize that no system is perfect, right? And so they've got to keep getting enough data in there. And that could take a while, right? That could take a while. There could be lots of different combinations to how the water could be. And that could really, affect things. And I think that's something that we need to take into account. So the tattoo tech debate. Black Dot's ink tech blends automation, but it isn't fully robotic. And is it a tattoo machine, or isn't it a tattoo machine? Because this is a very interesting thing. They say it's not a tattoo robot, but wait, what is it? So it's an automatic tattooing device, and it isn't a fully autonomous robot, but it's a machine designed to assist with tattooing. Currently, it's used by some studios like New York's Bang Bang for simple text tattoos. While it sparks debate over automation and tattooing, it reflects growing tech innovations in a booming tattoo market where nearly a third of the U.S. adults have tattoos, blending tradition with new technology. So the thing is, whenever you, let's say, introduce technology, you wonder how well is it going to be received? And I think that's an interesting concept, right? So I should tell you, the Black Dot tattoo technology employs a digital marketplace and a specialized device to analyze skin and create a precise tattoo that comes with design fees ranging from $400 to $8,000, and execution fees ranging from $600 to $1,850. And these prices can vary depending on the complexity of the design and the artists involved, with some designs costing up to $10,000 per design. So you're probably still wondering, like, what the heck is this device? So it's they claim that it's not a tattoo device, but in some regards it is, because it's an Austrian based startup that it's blending technology with body art to transform how tattoos are designed and delivered. It was founded by an entrepreneur, Joel Pennington. The company had developed the world's first fully automated tattooing device and an online marketplace for tattoo art. The innovation, dubbed a new way to tattoo. Joel Pennington came to the tattoo industry with an unconventional resume. He had already built a successful tech startup in telecommunications in 2005, and that was acquired by Cisco. And after relocating to Austin, post acquisition, he indulged his passion for craft industries. So he had something called the Eureka moment. Pennington's leap from coffee to tattoo began almost serendipitously in 2017, and he joined a Bay Area coffee tech startup, Bellwether, that used a hardware software cloud model to automate coffee roasting, exposing him to cutting edge ideas and automation. While mentoring another startup that year, he met engineer Jan Azdoid, whose expertise was in hyper elastic surfaces. Something big, something transformative, and it's way beyond coffee. So it's kind of amazing, what they did and what it does. And so the system basically reads the skin's characteristics and auto calibrates for optimal needle pressure and ink deposition. The thing that happens next is, once it's calibrated, the robot arm executes the tattoo design dot by dot. Each micropuncture is only, they're saying, less than 250 microns in diameter, enabling extremely high definition results beyond the capability of a human hand. And they're able to tattoo grayscale dots with surgical precision. And so this allows Black Dot to execute extremely detailed designs that cannot be tattooed, as I said, by hand. The machine's approach is often likened to a futuristic stick and poke method, since it places one dot deliberately at a time. Unlike a traditional tattoo gun that requires constant wiping of the excess ink, Black Dot's device applies continuous suction to remove excess ink on the fly, very similar to the wipe, think, tattoo, repeat method. Clients sit in a modern ergonomic chair resembling a sleek dentist or lounge chair, while a robotic arm moves methodically to imprint the design. Throughout the system's software, it ensures that each dot is placed exactly per the digital design blueprint. The high technology methodology results in tattoos that can capture minute details, fine art, photographs, or intricate geometric patterns with a level of consistency and clarity that astonishes seasoned tattooists. In fact, veteran artist Steve Godoy described a tiny Black Dot crafted Mona Lisa tattoo he saw as a category all on its own. It's in its own specific art form. And so, although it's not replacing the tattoo world, it is trying to, let's say, redefine the tattoo world. Again, it's all dots. So, interesting thing that they have come up with. And, it's something you don't hear about every day, right? I mean, the fact that, it's reflecting this growing tech in a new kind of innovation in a booming tattoo market. And, blending tradition with new technology. I think that's pretty cool. And Character.AI now decides to add kids safety per the new CEO that launches parental controls and claiming these fun features. So Character.AI's new CEO, Karandeep Anandad, is focused on tackling concerns over kids using chatbots by doubling down on safety measures while pushing the platform as a space for creative, interactive AI entertainment. They're doing this because they don't want to get sued. Drawing on this experience that he had with Microsoft and Meta, Anon plans to balance trust and fun by refining the filters to better understand contexts like harmless, vampire, role play, etc., without being overbearing, adding parent oversight options, and preventing misuse of new features like AI video generators. At the same time, he aims to grow the creator community and differentiate Character.AI from rivals by making AI conversations more social and engaging. Will he be successful, or will this turn into another disaster security breach 2 to 5 years from now? We'll have to see. And ladies and gentlemen, ICE. I'm sure you guys have heard of ICE before. People say to me, John, what is ICE in the U.S.? So ICE stands for Immigration and Customs, basically enforcement. They're called ICE for short. The United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a federal law enforcement agency under the United States Department of Homeland Security. ICE's stated mission is to protect the United States from transnational crime and illegal immigration that threaten national security and, of course, public safety. So what I want to share on this, I think, is going to be pretty interesting. Well, now that you know a little about ICE, and ICE's job is to basically arrest people that have come to this country illegally, illegal immigrants, basically. And so the problem is that ICE has always been trying to deport people that are here illegally. But there are lots of people. How do they do this? So now they've done a lot of different research using AI. They will monitor, let's say if they're staying with somebody, they'll monitor their credit cards and their different usage, even their phones. And they'll be able to figure out a pattern, like do they go to a certain store at a certain time? In fact, there have been several arrests, and they've all been done by some very strategic data gathering, something that wasn't available before, all because of artificial intelligence. So ICEBlock app is something new. It alerts users on the iPhone, and it warns of nearby ICE raids. They claim it's about privacy first, but I'm not really sure. Joshua Aaron, a longtime tech professional, created ICEBlock, an iPhone app that lets users anonymously report nearby ICE activity to help communicate and avoid immigration enforcement encounters amid Trump's deportation crackdown. So the app does require people to, enter that they're there, or let's say select that they're there. It's probably like a simple button. It's not like, just pressing a button, letting them know that they're in this area. And then they can just GPS track that, and they can alert people to where it is by just, clicking the button and where you are. And so it was launched in April of this year, 2025. It's called ICEBlock. It already has close to 20,000 users. Wow. And it's in places like Los Angeles, and it works as an early warning system, sending alerts when ICE agents are spotted within 5 miles. The app supposedly emphasizes privacy. It collects no user data and aims to inform, not to interfere. While Aaron says the tool offers vital protection, ICE officials, they argue that it endangers law enforcement by increasing risks to officers. Just a few days ago, there was a shooting that happened. Was it because of the app, or was it just because of some other reason? But the thing is this. I get why the app was developed, but, if you're doing something wrong, you're going to get caught. So the fact that somebody's building an app, I am just surprised that Apple would even allow something like this on their platform, because literally what you're doing is you're kind of bypassing government, and that's not sending a very, very good message. So a lot of people have asked me, John, how, and it's a good question, how does the ICEBlock app work? And it's pretty simple. It functions as a user reporting system, and basically users can open the app. They can pinpoint the location of an ICE sighting on a map, and add optional details like agent descriptions or vehicle information. Once a report is made, users within a 5-mile radius receive a push notification alerting them to the sighting. The app is designed to be anonymous, with no personal data collected or stored, making it impossible to trace reports back to individual users. Reports are automatically deleted after a set period of time, which, for example, is like 4 hours, to limit the potential for misuse and ensure real-time information sharing. The app has measures in place to prevent spamming and false reports, such as requiring users to select from a list of valid addresses or tap on a map to validate the location, according to some researchers. So the thing about it is the ICE app itself, they claim is something that is basically, it's something that is going to make the world better. And, the app came up by a company called I think it was called All Chart U. So ICEBlock it's an iPhone app. It's intended to alert users of nearby ICE sightings, as I was mentioning to you. And, anybody can download it. Obviously, it is a free app. But are we sending the wrong message that we're allowing an app like this to even be out there? I mean, because what we're saying is it's okay to get around things. They claim it's 100% anonymous, which, that's all nice. They claim that the app doesn't collect any data about the person or the phone and, things like that. Facebook first got into the data sniffing business when it acquired Onavo for around $120 million in 2014. The VPN app helped users track and minimize their mobile data plan usage, but it also gave Facebook deep analytics about what other apps they were using. Internal documents acquired by Charlie Warzel and Ryan Mack of BuzzFeed News reveal that Facebook was able to leverage Onavo to learn that WhatsApp was sending more than twice as many messages per day as Facebook Messenger. Onavo allowed Facebook to spot WhatsApp metrics rise and justify them paying $19 billion to buy the Chart startup in 2014. WhatsApp has since tripled its user base, demonstrating the power of Onavo's foresight. But again, the thing about this is they meant this app to be very easy to use, but it is causing problems. The ICEBlock, for many people are saying the ICEBlock is causing agents to be harmed, and I don't think that was the intention of the app. But it could cause federal agents to be injured. They're saying over a 500% increase in ICE agent assaults. And so it's designed to be an early warning system, but there are groups on Facebook and lots of the platforms that are just like, oh, yeah, you got to do whatever you got to do, right? But I think this is causing a problem. And when we think about why it was set up, why immigrations and custom enforcement was set up, it was set up because they want to keep the place safer. And, immigrations and custom enforcement has grown so much. Department of Homeland Security and custom enforcements, they're carried out through more than 400 federal statutes, and they focus on smart immigration enforcement, humane detention, preventing terrorism, and combating illegal movement of people and goods. So all the reasons they do that, that's not up to us. But I think if an app is out there and the app is trying to keep people safe, that's one thing. But if the app is trying to allow people to hide so they don't have to face the piper, I think that's a problem. Just my opinion. And ladies and gentlemen, NPR and PBS are, let's say, up to their neck in some problems as funding cuts could be imminent as the House votes now to defund the public media. Senate decision is going to have a big impact on this. The House narrowly passed a bill to eliminate 2 years of federal funding for public media, including the NPR, National Public Radio, and the public broadcasting service at President Trump's request, citing claims of liberal bias. The measure, which also slashes billions in foreign aid, passed 214-212 with 2 Republicans flipping their votes. Critics warn of devastating impacts on rural stations and emergency services, while supporters argue that taxpayer dollars shouldn't fund biased media. The legislation now heads to the Senate, where its fate remains uncertain as debates continue over public media's role and funding in a polarized political climate. Now, we've heard the story many times before, that they always want to broadcast basically what bleeds because that'll lead. But that's not the right thing. Being in media for a long time, I can tell you that it's important that we put information that is truly going to be respected, that is going to be truthful. I think that's hard for a lot of people to understand. And a new innovation, solar cells for space, a new ultra-thin type of solar panel glass could now power the future. This is really interesting. Scientists are developing ultra-thin glass cadmium telluride CDTE solar cells that could transform space energy systems by offering lighter, cheaper, and radiation-resistant power for satellites and space manufacturing. It was tested on a CubeSat, and the technology targets 20% efficiency in space and already 23.1% on Earth, and promises longer service life and lower costs than traditional silicon or multi-junction solar cells. That's pretty amazing. With the global space industry booming and satellite constellations expanding, this innovation could meet soaring demand for scalable, efficient solar power. So I think that's an amazing thing that they have come up with that whole concept. And, the thing is, by us coming up with this concept, this could actually not only lower costs, but it could improve sustainability of our world. So I think that's a really important thing to keep an eye on. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very interesting one. China's robot school, virtual reality trained bots. That's right. They have learned and are continuing to learn tasks like human things that humans will do all the time. And I think this is pretty interesting because, knowing what China's doing and what they're trying to do, China is the first public robot school in Hi-Fi that is training robots to perform real-world tasks like logistics, warehouse handling, and home assistance by using virtual reality-guided human teachers to teach fine motor skills. Robots practice 200 action sequences daily, learning through physical interaction rather than simulation to adapt to unpredictable environments. The facility offers shared infrastructure and services, helping smaller companies access advanced training and aiming to create more capable, general-purpose, autonomous robots for factories, homes, and retail. I guess we got to see what they're going to do, but I think that's going to be a very amazingly big push. And how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Catch this. 1,500 flights were grounded. That's right. Airlines explode over a massive French air traffic controller strike. A massive strike by French air traffic controllers led to the cancellation of over 1,500 flights in just 2 days, disrupting travel plans for tens of thousands of passengers. Now, the strike was driven by demands for better working conditions, concerns over understaffing amid rising air traffic, and opposition to new biometric attendance systems that caused about 40% of flights in and out of Paris to be canceled. Airlines, including Ryanair, expressed strong frustration over the frequent strikes, which also affect over flights and cause significant disruptions. French authorities and unions remain at odds, with the strike happening at a peak travel time as schools close for summer, highlighting ongoing tensions in aviation sector, which has been a very, very big problem. So I got to tell you about one of my challenges. So I was actually leaving last week, Thursday, to visit my parents in Florida. And so my plane's supposed to take off. I think it's like whatever time. So I think it's supposed to take off 7:30. Well, anyway, they changed my gate like at least 3 times. And then just before I'm about to get on the plane, we knew there was a delay. And I'm watching the gate, and all of a sudden I'm hearing that you got to have you don't have to have your passport, but they will scan. I'm like, what are they talking about? Then I look, and I'm like, this plane's boarding to Frankfurt, Germany. I'm like, how did that happen? I was going to Fort Myers. How did it suddenly change? And so then I'm like, well, where's my plane? And then I see last call on the phone boarding. I'm like, where's my plane? So I'm running down. I'm like, oh, it's down like 4 or 5 gates down. I'm running to the plane. They're like, oh, you have time. We're not closing the door for 5 minutes. And so, like, why didn't I get that notification? But here's the thing. When I got on the runway, well, I get in the plane, and then we're getting on the runway, they apparently, you'd think they would think, right? They did not have fuel in the plane, or very little. So they got fuel, but then they only got enough for half a tank. The pilot said we probably can get to Fort Myers with a half a tank, but he'd prefer having a full tank. I would too. So now we have to wait some more time for this fuel embark to get to us, but there's lots of jets in the way. So how do we get our fuel when these jets are in the way, right? So we have to wait. That was another delay. We got our fuel. So now we're number 32 or 34 in the lineup to depart. I mean, that was just kind of like, that was kind of amazing that was taking like, so long. And then the problem that happened was we had to wait because we're number 32. Now, the thing I didn't tell you is that all these other planes, well, they couldn't take off. At least, let's say, more than 30 of them couldn't take off because their flight plan had been canceled. Like, that's just insane. Their flight plan had been canceled because of the bad weather. I mean, that's what it was coming down to, right? And so now I'm watching a movie on the airplane, literally the entire movie, an hour and 45 minutes or something. And it's funny, we take off about an hour late. We take off about an hour and a half late, and we still get to the destination about an hour late. So they made up a little bit of time. And so I think it was just very interesting how this worked. The flight was a pretty good flight, but I just don't think that the airlines have all their ducks together. I mean, that's just my honest opinion. And micro lead testing is a pretty big breakthrough, as new probe now tests fragile wafers safely. So what's all this about? So a soft probe breakthrough for micro LED testing. And so researchers at the Tianjin University have developed the world's first soft, non-destructive probe for testing micro LED wafers, applying only 0.2 MPa of pressure, comparable to a gentle breath. This flexible 3D probe array adapts to the wafer's delicate surface, preventing damage and extending probe lifespan, which addresses major hurdles in scaling up micro LED production. The technology enables precise, high-throughput, quality testing, critical for next-generation ultra-bright, energy-efficient displays used in TVs, wearables, and more and more. It could expand into flexible electronics, medical devices, laptops, etc., revolutionizing the industry for wafer inspection and accelerating commercial micro LED production and manufacturing. That's pretty interesting, So one thing I thought that's kind of interesting to share with you is a little bit how technology works, okay? So we start off with something called an ingot. So an ingot, silicon is melted, and then let's say a seed crystal is slowly pulled out, rotating as it's withdrawn to form a large cylindrical monocrystalline ingot. And so the ingot is then sliced into thin wafers using a wire saw or an other specialized cutting tool like an inner diameter saw. They lap and polish and go through over 30 to 60 different processes to get the wafer ready before testing. The sliced wafers are, like I said, they're lapped to remove any damage from the slicing process and then polished to mirror finish, ensuring a smooth surface for further processing. But that's not 5 or 6 steps. I mean, you're talking a lot of steps that has to go through. The wafer is then thoroughly cleaned to remove any remaining debris or contaminants. Depending on the desired application, the wafers may undergo further processing, such as doping to alter their electrical properties. So they go through a lot. And so doping, in electronics is probably a term maybe you have not heard before. Is the process of intentionally introducing impurities into a semiconductor material like silicon to alter its electrical conductivity. Because semiconductor, it's not fully able to conduct, so we need to add something to it. The process is crucial for creating transistors, diodes, and other essential components. By adding specific impurities, the conductivity level increases of the semiconductor, and it can be precisely controlled, creating either an N-type of excess electrons or P-type for excess holes. And the thing about this process that many people don't realize is that, yes, they can get the costs down, but the cost really comes from the design. And so the more you run, it doesn't matter whether you run a small or a big one. The more you run, the more the cost comes down, right? So R&D is very expensive, and I thought you guys would appreciate this. And people ask me this all the time, John. What does an ingot cost? So the cost of an ingot varies based on the metal purity size, the current market conditions. Iron ingots, for example, can range from 300 to 500 per ton. So that's an important thing. But how much are ingots costing, let's say, with semiconductors? So when we talk about ingots for semiconductors, they range as well, from under $10 to $100, while a 6-inch, I say, silicon wafer can cost from under $10 to $100, while a 12-inch wafer can cost up to $5,000. So the thing is, when you think about this, high purity silicon ingots can range from $1,200 per ton, which is not cheap. Silicon carbide wafers can range from $100 to $1,600 per wafer. And quartz ingots, well, they're even different. They'll range from $1 to $110 depending on the type of supplier they're coming from. So ingots are what's needed to produce lots of different things, and they're used a lot in the technology industry. They're used in the iron industry, but they're like the initial part of how things get kicked off, how chips get made. We start with that ingot. So it's a very, very interesting process, and I'm just giving you a real short overview of it. And here's what I think you guys are going to like. AI tackles nuclear waste. A new compound removes 90% of iodine from waste. I think that's a pretty interesting thing. And so a little more on that track is that AI is crushing nuclear waste. 90% of radioactive iodine is now being eliminated. That's a pretty amazing thing. Researchers at South Korea, KAIST, have used AI to discover a new multi-metal compound capable of removing over 90% of radioactive iodine, which is I-129, from contaminated water, addressing a major challenge in nuclear waste cleanup. By applying machine learning to efficiently screen layered double hydroxide LDH materials, the team has identified a copper, chromium, iron, aluminum compound that outperforms traditional absorbents, significantly speeding up and reducing the cost of developing effective decontamination solutions. This breakthrough holds promise for safer nuclear waste management and is advancing toward commercial use with ongoing efforts to improve stability and create practical filtration systems. Wow. So AI is definitely making some progress. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is that a lot of people that are seeing the progress are not looking at it from the right perspective. They're looking at it from the view that they want to make money, but they're not looking at it from the point that it should only be used and created as a tool for the greater good of all concerned. But a lot of people just don't see that. Why? Because they see AI and they see some way to make money. And I think that's a big problem for a lot of people, is that AI in itself, AI is not good or bad. It is a tool, just like I've said about lots of other things, right? Um, it's evolving all the time. It can be used for beneficial purposes. It can be used for detrimental purposes. It can cause unintended harm. It can be used for help. The impact of AI depends heavily on how it's developed, implemented, and it's used by individuals in different organizations. So I think that's why people today have a obligation and a responsibility that if you're going to use AI, you understand the right way to use it. You don't just, go buy a drill and say, oh, gee, I hope I know how to use it, right? You actually make sure that you know how to use that drill before you start using it, because you could hurt yourself or possibly hurt someone else. And I think that becomes, a big issue. So viewing AI as a tool rather than inherently good or bad is hopefully a good way for you to understand its potential and the importance of human agency in shaping its future. Every piece of technology that we have has the potential to be good or to be bad. And the people that are trying to get something out so quickly because they're trying to make a buck off of it are the ones that are probably not concerned about whether the technology is going to help someone or whether it's going to hurt someone, right? I think that's a big concern for a lot of people that we come in contact with. They don't realize what something means or what something doesn't mean. And I think that's something that a lot of people will wrestle with for, let's say, a very long time. Okay. Um, it's just kind of the way things are. And so, you know, we know right now that AI has a lot of potential. We all know that. And everybody thinks that if they have AI in their back pocket, that they can just do anything they want. Well, they could do anything they want before AI. You have to realize AI makes a lot of mistakes. It is not perfect. This is probably the most important thing I want to share with you today, is that AI makes mistakes. All right. And we don't often catch these mistakes until, well, they're coming out of our pocket. Companies are using AI for so many different things. Um, they're using it to create art. They're using it for security, right? They're using it for analysis of food compounds, of knowing calorie count, things like that, healthy stuff, right? They're using it for all those type of things. Um, you know, it's something how things like this are going on. And so what I want to tell you about AI is that AI is still a big problem with ADP. Yeah, AI is a big issue with ADP and what do they call it, with Workday. Um, it's a problem. ADP's Workday, I believe, I'm not sure how their case turned out, but they got sued 12 months ago. So, what is the response after ADP, got sued for Workday. I mean, ADP was never more than just a payroll company, but now they're just trying to get into everything. Why? Because they see it as a potential. Okay, facing lawsuits alleging its AI powering AI tools or discriminating against job applicants. And I see it too. I have friends that are trying to get jobs and they can't get hired, and the system is discriminating against them. So they had one that happened, I think it was in May. A federal judge just allowed a jobs applicant's lawsuit against Workday to move forward as a nationwide class action ruling that the company's AI-powered hiring tools have had a discriminatory impact on applicants over age 40. The May 16 decision is a major development in the Mobley versus Workday, one of the country's most closely watched legal challenges in the use of artificial intelligence in the employment decision sector. While this age discrimination case is still in its early stages, the ruling serves as a warning to employers and AI vendors alike that they can be held accountable for algorithmic screening tools if they disproportionately harm protected groups. I don't just mean age. It could be race, religion, sexual orientation, creed, color. It could be any of those things. And so this is interesting. So Dirk Mobley, who was part of this class action, filed this claim in the California federal court, and Workday asked to have the case dismissed since it wasn't the employer making the employment decision. That's a cop-out. After over a year of procedural wrangling, the California federal judge gave the green light for Mobley to continue his lawsuit. That was in July 2024. In February, Mobley sought permission to expand his age discrimination claim to a national action so that millions of other applicants over the age of 40 could also join him. But in the decision from Judge Rita Lynn of the U.S. District Court of Northern District of California, found the allegations cleared the legal bar to proceed collectively, and nothing that the case centers on a common question. And the whole issue is Workday's AI recommendation system, is it despairing impact on applicants over 40? Is that happening or not? And so her decision is largely based on that. And a crucial distinction is the area of the law comes under political pressure. But isn't despair impact under impact? Yes. And that's part of the reason that this ruling is so important for employers. President Trump signed an executive order just recently directing federal agencies, including the EEOC, to eliminate enforcement based on disparate impact theory. That move will almost certainly reduce government-led investigations into algorithmic discrimination for the foreseeable future. But it doesn't affect private litigation like the Workday case. It might even spur state EEO agencies to take up the charge and seek out more disparate impact claims on their own. That means we're likely to see fewer or no cases filed by the EEOC or the Department of Justice under this theory. More state agencies claim private class action lawsuits and opt-in lawsuits are targeting AI tools on disparate impact grounds. And they should. The lawsuit is one of the first major court challenges to use algorithmic hiring tools under the federal employment discrimination laws. It highlights several risks for employers using AI-driven systems, and vendor tools may create legal exposure if they disproportionately reject applicants in protected cases. Courts may treat screen systems as unified policy, even when different employers use the tools differently. Individualized defenses, qualifications, or interview rates, etc. What's next? Parties must meet and confer and find out and propose a plan. We need to audit vendors, retain human oversight, document criteria, monitor for disparate impact, get your governance in order, stay tuned into legal shifts, and most importantly, guys, monitor the developments and provide up-to-date information directly to your inbox so that you can actually know what's going on with one of them is the Fisher Phillips insight, right? There's lots of them out there, but there's also a lot out there, ladies and gentlemen, that are not really giving you true. They're trying to sell you something. I can't tell you how many out there are not really trying to sell you the truth. I'm going to share one with you right now. So one of the platforms starting with an L ends with an N, owned by a company that starts with an M. Most people don't know. And They are basically taking data that was there years ago. Even though you removed it, it's still coming up in people's searches. Why? Because they haven't properly removed it. And I think that scraping data from a website should be illegal. I mean, like, that's wrong. But so many people do it. And there's no fines, there's no nothing. I got a problem with that. When we allow something to keep continuing and we don't set a precedence or we don't punish it, people are going to keep doing it. People are going to keep saying, well, gee, I'm going to keep doing this. Yeah, but we're saying it's okay, but it really isn't. Right? We're saying that it's okay, but it really isn't okay. And so I know that this is important for you to realize right now, that AI is going to shake up the way the world is, not just today, not just tomorrow, not just next month, not just this year, but even next year and into the next century. AI is going to grab data so fast that people aren't ready for it, right? What are people's biggest fears about AI? It's a good one. Job displacement, number one. Bias and discrimination. Loss of control and ethical concerns. Misinformation, deepfakes, privacy violations. Loss of the human connection, right? You're calling places right now, whether it's your telephone provider, like, oh, I'm going to use the AI system to help you. Well, I don't want you to use the AI system. I want to go to a live person. And you have to basically either do nothing or you get forced to use the system. Like, that just seems unfair to me. It really does. We have covered a lot this evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that you'll have an understanding of where things are going. We'll keep following these stories because I know, ladies and gentlemen, you guys want to know what's going on, and so do I. And I want to give you the truth about what's out there. Not what you want to hear. I want to give you what's going on there. You know how I've stated things for quite a long time. I tell you what you need to know. You might not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to tell you exactly the way I see it. I'm not going to tell you the way the news reporters are showing it to you. I'm going to tell you the way it is right in business or the way it is right in our life today. And too much of our world is biasing the news. Being a journalist and videographer for many years, that hurts me. I think people need to understand what is going on and why things are going on. And our responsibility and accountability. I mean, that's the most important thing, guys. We got to be accountable. We got to be responsible. And we got to develop things for the greater good of all concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Check out BelieveMeAchieve.com, and I'll catch you real soon.